So let's look at the next group policy. Now we're in Windows Server 2019. Go and watch the previous two videos if you want a bit of a recap around group policies. And we sort of talked a little bit about the structure of the group policy management as well in a previous video. So do check that one out first. We're going to open up group policy management again right in here. All right. And we're now going to look at defining a logon message. All right. So what I mean by this is when you log into a computer, any computer on the network, even a server, you're presented with like a logon message that is warning that user that they need to obey the rules of this company, that they've accepted some policy, some agreement, something, and they're saying that by logging on, you accept the terms and conditions that have been laid out in your contract when you started, whatever it may be. The warning messages are quite normal, and most organizations do have some form of logon message to their computers just to let staff and anybody know that this computer is property of this company. By logging in, you're accepting these conditions, etc., etc. So they're good to have. Now you'll see that I've already created a logon message, and I've created it here against home demo. Now, if you want to create a brand new GPO, you can right click in the location that you want to create it. You can do that on our root right here under homedemo.com, which is the domain level. You can right click and you say create a GPO in this domain and link it here. Okay. You can also go into a separate, say the domain controllers OU. You can right click and you can say create a GPO here. All right, and that will create the GPO and it will be applied just to that specific OU. Now, in our case, we want all computers to be able to use and see this group policy and have a logon message, which is why it's been created here. So you can right click and you say new GPO in this domain. It'll then go and ask you, what do you want this name to be? So let's just go and create a brand new one, logon message 2, because I've already got one in here, and we can now say, okay. You see that right there, it's now created this GPO right in here, logon message 2. But at the moment, it doesn't do anything. If you remember from the last video, we went into this area called settings, and you could see exactly what has been applied against this logon message 2. Now, this is some details, some links, some security filtering, and some delegation, which is stuff that we've seen up here. But there's actually nothing defined against computer configuration and user configuration because we haven't done anything to this group policy at all. If we have a look at this other logon message group policy right in here, and we go into settings and we expand by clicking show all, you'll see that actually under the computer configuration, under policies, Windows settings, security settings, local policies, interactive logon, I've defined some stuff in here. Okay, so let's actually go and navigate to that location. So we can right click on that group policy that we've just created, edit, and then we're presented with this window. This is the editor. Okay, this is where we define all of our group policies. Now we're going to navigate to this path right here. Now, you need to know the exact path, the exact location where this group policy is going to be applied. And as I said, there are thousands of different options available for you. Google is your best friend to go and find where you apply a particular setting in a group policy. So we're going to go into computer configuration, which is what's enabled down here, policies, Windows settings, and then down to security settings. And then we're going to go into local policies, which is this option right here, security options, and we select that. Okay. And in here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff. Let's just expand this so that you can see what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that you can do under this particular path. You'll see you could do administrator account status, accounts. You can do domain controller, group policies, domain member, group policies, interactive logon, group policies. And you'll see that the policy setting across all of these are not defined. So by default, group policies are turned off. Right? Well, the actual policy, the objects that you want to define are turned off. So we can go into any of these. You see that they're all there available for you to use, but they're all not defined. Okay. So if I want to define this one, I go into properties and then I define the policy and then put in my relevant information. Okay. But we're going to cancel that. Back into here, you see that they're all not defined except for these two, interactive logon, which is message text for users attempting to log on, an interactive login message title for users attempting to log on. Now, the message is the bulk of the message. Think about it as the body of an email. That is the bulk. And this is almost like your subject line. This is the top heading in that warning message. And all I've done is I've double clicked on this title and I've said define the policy setting and I've said warning message. Okay, keep it very simple. Of course, you're going to need to write this in a way that is relevant for your organization. And then under text for users, I've gone and said this computer is the property of this company. By logging in, you accept the IT acceptable use policy. And we've clicked on define and OK. And that policy is now there, ready for you to use. And again, because that is applied automatically, we don't have to do anything else. We can just close it. And that is against our home demo. So theoretically, a computer should now be able to log into the network and see that message. Okay, that's what the goal and the aim is. Sometimes it will take some time. So a computer, a user may not get that group policy applied straight away. It may take you a bit of time to get a group policy applied to it. But let's just try something in here. I've just got another window. This is a computer that is bound to the domain that is talking to home demo. We're just going to log out of John Smith right here. And we're now going to log in. Okay, so once it signs out, eventually, well, let's just open it up again. Got some computers here and we're going to connect to it. We're going to say connect. All right, there you go. It's come up with that warning message. This computer is the property of this company. By logging in, you accept the IT acceptable use policy. Okay. And then John Smith itself logs into that PC. There you go. That's exactly how it works. Now, if for whatever reason, John Smith had a problem getting on, then it could be because the group policy hasn't actually been applied. So this is now where we get a little bit more technical around defining and figuring out group policy stuff. We're not going to cover that in too much detail. You'll have to do your own looking into that, but you can also just go into our start menu. This is on the computer that is perhaps not getting a group policy. And you can type in GP update /force. So it's a group policy update /force command. And that's now going to go and try do an update policy. Essentially, it's going to query our domain controller where the group policies are all defined. And it's going to say computer policy update has completed successfully. And then try it again, log out, log back in, and hopefully those group policies have applied themselves. Now, that is not the only way to try to force a group policy. There are other things. There's other troubleshooting that you can do around group policies if you so choose to and you need to. But that's it. That's how you define a logon message for group policy.